We're back at our South End project today, and so much has changed since we were here together last. I cannot wait to show you inside. The tile that we chose at the Design Center has been installed, and it looks gorgeous. That along with the millwork. But before we get started on that, I would love to just meet you in my office where I want to focus today on countertop stone, because we're going to be replacing the current stone here with something that's just elegant and timeless. So let's head inside my office and we'll take a closer look. Here we are. This is where I usually start with my clients, so this is where I wanted to start for us today, because I can appreciate that when you go to a Stoneyard, it's pretty overwhelming if you have 1,000 options. Before you go to the Stoneyard, it's really important to just hone in on exactly what you're looking for and just a general direction on the durability that you're hoping to achieve. I feel like that's really key. Everything from quartz, which is this material here, to quartzite, to marble, and then I'll show you a couple other stones that our studio uses pretty frequently that I feel like aren't used often that you might be interested in. But we can start with a real life project that we're working on today that I'm presenting later. This is for a client that we've had in Boston for about 10 years now, and we're doing both his city condo and his home in Ireland, which is a really rural, it's like just so stunning, and it's very different than how he lives in Boston. But I'm showing him today that even though these places are very dissimilar in topography and just landscape, what you see outside in Boston, you're seeing this beautiful skyline. When we're in Ireland, it's just like windswept and stunning. But really, his personality is going to shine through, and that's through the use of material. So for that project, for instance, we're using a material called bluestone, and in Ireland we're using this material, which is an Irish bluestone, which is really beautiful because you see the natural fossils in the stone. So I really love that, and you'll see when we take a kind of closer look at his whole mood board, all of the textures, the wallpaper, the paint, they are actually pretty similar from the city location to this rural, beautiful location. But we're using the same principle for the countertop in both, so that he just feels like it's his own space. He feels really grounded when he walks in, and it really works for both locations really well. So that's one element that I love using, which is either a Belgian or an Irish bluestone in an interior. It just brings out like so much depth and interest. And next is quartzite. So this is a bit softer than quartz, but it's harder than marble. So this is a really good in-between stone if we have a client that is kind of interested in both, but they're a bit scared of going with marble. We will recommend a quartzite. With that, you do get the natural variation, you get the veining, you can choose polished or honed. Honed really gives you more of that marble look, in my opinion. It really works in so many different applications, from some of the really beautiful luxury high-rise buildings that we do here. It looks great in that, or just really more kind of rustic, kind of farm coastal properties that we work on. Quartzite really is just like that great middle ground, I would say, selection that works really well in so many different spaces. And next is marble. This is my personal favorite and something that I'm always so happy to work with. For me, anytime you're in like a European city and you see marble on steps or door casings, anything that just has that age and love and patina to it, for me, that is just like a piece of art. So to have that in your own home is like a real treasure. So I love working with all different types of marble. And when we do work with marble on client projects, I do like to really help them talk about the best way to care for the stone so that they'll have it for a lifetime. One little trick that we do is really, I mean, it sounds kind of simple, but using really overscale cutting boards and keeping those out on the countertop, because I feel like that's a big thing that people worry about. Oh, what if I'm cooking with oil and spices and things like that? We buy tons of antique cutting boards, like from France, and these are things you can even find on Etsy or your local antique shop. And just having those out, or if you're gonna have a dinner party, people love that look of just like a warm welcome on something that's rustic, that is topped on a beautiful stone like marble, because it's really all about layering and not making anything feel like too precious or that you don't want to approach it. Because no matter what you choose, if it's bluestone, quartz, quartzite, or marble, it's just really about that nurturing feeling and that warm welcome that you want to give to your family and your friends. So for me, marble is just like, no matter what, the most timeless, beautiful piece of stone that you could ever work with. But really, I feel like what we have learned over the years from designing for different clients, it's just using what you're going to feel most comfortable with, and then you layer that with your personality. So you honestly can't go wrong with any of these options. It's just really selecting what is best for the space and best just to enhance your everyday life. So now that we've talked about all things stone, we're going to do this kind of in real time, where I'd love to go to the job site with you, where we can look at the current stone that's there in the kitchen, and I can talk through some of the ideas that I have for the new stone that we're going to be looking for. So we're here in the kitchen, and I'll show you the reason that we're thinking of changing out the current stone as it is. What I hope to do is extend the countertop stone out to here so that we can have bar seating for 2 on this side. Not only does that increase the seating for entertaining, but I really find that even if it's just you and a guest or a loved one, it's really nice to sit at this orientation across from each other rather than side by side. So that's something I love bringing in. Another thing that I really like to do is to go full height on the backsplash behind the range, especially if you can find a marble with veining or beautiful color tone interest. That just adds almost like a piece of art here in the kitchen. So what we're going to do next is head to the Stoneyard, and I would love to take you through and show you what we have in store for this space. We are in Everett, outside the city. We're at Cumar, which is one of my favorite places to go to source countertop stone. And today's a special day because we have Carlotta with us as well. She's one of the owners, and she's just so knowledgeable and just such a great person. So I'm excited to introduce her to you. So today we're going to be sourcing stone for our project, but also I really want to give you my tips and tricks for ways that you can source stone for your own home that feels really elegant and really timeless. So I hope to kind of demystify the process for you. So come inside and let's get started. So we're in the gallery space at Cumar. I love coming in here because usually I'm on like quite a mission when I come in. I'm with clients and we really know exactly what we're looking for, but I do think it's important to walk through this space first. It's very unique. Not many places have such a big, expansive room where the stone is actually set up like pieces of art. And what I really like is seeing things that we don't often use in our interiors. I think it's just so interesting to get someone else's perspective on like color and pattern and different pairings. I just think it's really interesting. And I love that this is always a really quiet space, so we can put all of our materials down and really set the mood for when we go into the Stoneyard, which is a whole nother experience.
Okay, so here we are in the Stoneyard.
Love it.
I know you've been here before.
I have, but honestly, there's always something new to see. So I love visiting and kind of looking at new materials. And I think, you know, when you walk in, this is such an enormous space. And I would love to just tell people kind of how you break it down here so when they first walk in, it doesn't feel very overwhelming to them.
Sure, yes. I mean, we try to have some kind of organizational with onyxes being in one section, some of the black marbles in the beginning, moving on to quartzite.
Right, which people love. Quartzite, it's great that you have, these look really oversized too.
Yeah.
Some of the slabs, they're beautiful.
Good island material for those big islands. It does help narrow down understanding what the visit is for and take away some of the overwhelming. It's a 40,000 square foot facility, so there's a lot in here.
Right, but I do think the fact that it is organized by, like you can see a lot of the heavier veining is over here. Even though you're looking for maybe a quartzite, something else might kind of catch your eye on the way.
And we do appreciate people just wanting to walk the aisles, and sometimes that's part of the experience.
It's especially for people, like we were saying, when you have that, like, I think I was looking for this, but oh my goodness, what is this?
Right.
And it really is like a visceral reaction that I think I love seeing. Like this, for instance, this looks like artwork.
Yeah.
Look at that veining. It's just incredible.
I mean, this is one of a kind.
Yes.
You know, when else are you going to get that exact veining?
Right.
And that's the magic of marble or natural stone.
Yes.
You're never going to see two of the same.
Right. So in your home, you have this just such a unique experience that you get to live with every day, which I just love. Like, you know, visiting Europe and seeing these places that are just always in style. And that kind of brings us to, this is the stone that I am looking for our project in the South End. I just immediately, that's what happened for me. I didn't go into it because I do know about the different stones and everything. I didn't go into it saying, I want a quartzite or a type of marble. I just knew the feeling that I wanted. And I love that, just that permanence and timelessness of a marble like this. So I immediately fell in love with it, but I would love to hear what you think of my choice and, you know, what you think of this stone overall.
It's one of my favorites, and it is Arabiscato Corchia, quarried in Italy in the Tuscan region, so close to Carrara where the other white marbles are. And it's a traditional marble. You would see this in a lot of churches or older buildings. Yeah. We recently did a fireplace in a historic Turner Hill up in Ipswich and used this material to stay true to the historic nature of the home. Yes. So I think this is a great choice if that's the vision.
That is great to hear, because I mean, it is. It's like I immediately just fell in love with it. And I think because I initially saw it as all these like historical context points of styles. So
although these are very particular, this material and this style is very classic, but again, one of a kind, and this is a beautiful lot.
Brilliant. Well, I'm glad that you approve, and interestingly, your favorite, I heard, is close by.
Yep, right down this aisle.
It seems like we arranged this, but there's no way the amount of cranes and logistics that my favorite and yours are
not
right
planned.
here. Yes. So I'm in good company.
Yes, you are.
But I would love to just hear about this and what drew you to, what is this stone again?
It's called Breccia Capraia, and it's quarried in Carrara, Italy. What I love about this is the bold veining and coloring, and honestly, this material has such a range from lot to lot that
take a look.
You can get one that looks nothing like a different lot,
and
there's different typologies. So to me, that's exciting. I'm just really drawn to the colors and the natural movement in it.
What kind of hardware did you go with this?
Lacquered brass.
Of course you did. Fabulous. I love it.
I said I had to
warmth.
live. Yes. I said I had to live my truth with living finishes and natural stone.
Yes. Okay, so what we're doing is, this is the stone that I've chosen, but you'll see that there's variation in these. So we're actually moving this stone now and seeing what the stone behind it looks like, because I don't know if I need 1 or 2 slabs, but I always try to hold 2 if we think that it's going to be a possibility that we use it for the backsplash. So we're going to take a look and see which slabs we prefer for the island. And so this is like always a nice moment where we see what's behind and what kind of variation we might get. And this is another thing that I would always recommend when you're at a place like this, taking the time to really seeing the slab behind it, right?
Absolutely, because digital images are great, but they're never going to give you the depth and all the details that you're going to see in person. We always recommend seeing the materials live.
Right, yes. And here we go.
Here it is, and this is actually the back, because when they
so now we have to
when they cut a block, they polish opposite sides.
I see.
That's how you get a book match. So when they're pieced together, they're like back to back. So they're going to put that one safely there, and then they're going to move this somewhere where we can see it.
Okay. Okay, so now they've just amazingly moved this huge stone over. We're going to take a look and see what we think, especially for the island. It will be such a focal point.
Yes.
And I would love to get your opinion and vision on that.
So you're the first one seeing this. Look at that.
There we go.
Coming right off. Yep, so this is beautiful. They are pretty consistent throughout. We do have book match here. So if we ever needed to do a seam, this is a great way to do it by keeping the slabs continuous. But this is a beautiful piece for a nice big island.
I wondered, is there more white on this stone rather than the other?
Maybe. I mean, typically they're going to be
really
somewhat similar, and this could be a trick of the light.
Yeah.
Having it like put in the aisle, and when you take it out, you get to see it. You have to step back a little bit more, and you see it big picture versus when you have to stand in the aisle.
And you're so close to it.
Absolutely.
And that's a good point, actually, that it is important to actually see if you can have a place like this. Then you're walking up to it, you're seeing it from a different perspective.
Yes.
So that's definitely a top tip, to have them kind of place it away from you. Then you see bigger picture. You're falling in love with it here, but you're getting detail.
Yes.
So I think especially if you're doing like an island or a backsplash behind a range where you want that movement, this is the best way to see it.
Yep.
I do want to take a look at the other one because I loved, like I had such a reaction to the other, and I want to see, is it possible to have that one brought out too?
Absolutely.
Okay, so now we're getting the full picture.
Absolutely.
Right? Let's see. I mean, it is stunning. I haven't lost the feeling of I love it.
It is beautiful. This is a premium lot, and the reason we say that is you can see like distribution of the veining is consistent throughout. The pieces are big.
Okay.
The coloring.
Talk about that a little more, distribution of the veining.
So whenever we source, and marble obviously has a huge range of lots, right? Each block is going to be different, and what makes a block or a lot more desirable and prestigious is anytime you have like whatever the consideration for that stone's veining, disposition, and coloring. So in this one, you know, having the material, the coloring be throughout, the veining is distributed pretty consistently, which is nice because if you are doing a kitchen, you're not seeing the full piece other than maybe in an island.
Right.
You're still going to have 25-inch runs of countertops, backsplash, that's going to get cut up. So having the ability to be somewhat continuous throughout the whole design is helpful.
I see. So on that, like if we had less veining over here and less up there, that would be less desirable because then it's like patchy.
Exactly. Yes, it can be trickier to, like imagine if half the slab looked completely different than the other half, you would look like you had a kitchen made of two different materials.
Yes.
With that said, we have had some materials that have had very like wonky distributions that has been utilized in the design to like play off of.
Or maybe that's where you put your sink or something. You try to utilize those pieces in that way. But I do think it is stunning.
See how like in the middle it meets like a book match? So now you see what I mean, like they slice them, they finish the opposing sides, so you can get a perfect seam wherever you need to.
Right. I would say like for some reason this is like my favorite, where it's like the tighter gray, blue, and then the white. I do love this too. I think maybe for the countertops, but then really having this for the islands would be incredible. Okay, well I think we found our stone. Thank you so much. This, I mean, I do think it's everything that I was looking for with like timelessness in mind, so.
Absolutely, but still one of a kind.
Yes.
Okay, Natalie, so you've seen our warehouse, and this is our shop, the behind the scenes where all the magic happens.
It's unbelievable. I know that you see this every day, but the fact that this is like your domain is just unreal.
Yeah.
So much is happening.
So much. Yes, this is where we cut it, we polish it, we have water jets, everything CNC operated. So we have the ability to do all the things that today's technology allows us to do.
It's incredible. So you choose your stone and then it makes its way over here.
Comes through here. It'll spend some days getting cut, getting polished, and then it'll work its way through the production floor. And each piece is different.
Yeah.
There's never one set way, and you determine that on the front end. Whatever that piece needs, it needs. Yeah. And then we work its way through, and we end up always finishing in the finished shop. So.
Okay. And is this where you would choose like the honed or polished? Is that where this happens?
This is where like the detailing happens, or any assembly. So this is more of like the heavy lifting, cutting, re-polish, anything large scale. Then all the pieces come through here, they get final touches. And even if the machinery can do a lot of the processing, even edge details, everything at Cumar always goes through a finished shop process.
Okay, so this is really like a high touch area here. Okay.
Absolutely. So every piece is getting some kind of hand craft.
Amazing.
And a lot of the assembly, a lot of the customizations, a lot of the way that things get put together and finished to make them look the way they do when they get installed happens right here.
Right here. It's so incredible to see.
Yeah. We're very lucky to get to do this and have the ability to have clients with vision.
Yes. And I'm sure, like, are there pieces that you get excited about, so you follow them through the whole process?
Yes, and when we have special pieces like that, we actually will take the opportunity to celebrate as a company, and we'll bring everybody in, and
awesome.
we'll talk about it, we'll look at it, and whenever there's those types of projects, because there's always a traffic flow, people coming through. My dad will bring anybody and everybody through the shop, like customers will be like, come see what we have in the back.
It's incredible.
Truly a proud moment.
Everyone probably feels very proud because everyone has their hands on it at some point.
Yep.
So they saw it in kind of the raw state, and then they get to see this incredible vision of the finish. It's amazing. It really is like telling the story of what the stone can become.
Absolutely. The possibilities are almost endless.
Yeah. So we're back on site now. We just came from the most incredible day at Cumar with Carlotta, and I really fell in love with the stone. There were a couple other stones too that just keep kind of staying in my mind. So I went to the office and I printed those stones out. What we're gonna do is take a final measure, and then I'm just gonna take a day or two to really decide on what the best direction will be here, because as I said, I really want this to be something that is lasting and beautiful for a lifetime. So when we meet back, I would love to show you the space and show you how it all comes together.